the boy suddenly realized that something was off about his father. During his workout, his father had managed to bench press a weight far beyond what was considered normal, including the 2 weight plates Joseph had just secretly added. His father had successfully lifted 250 pounds to test his father's limits. Joseph loaded the bar with every available weight plate and added 4 buckets of paint on top of the bar. The total weight this time reached a staggering 350 pounds. To be able to lift this weight, and not just for a single set, was proof enough that his father's physique was beyond the ordinary. So, to further test his theory, that very night, Joseph secretly took his father's gun, wanting to see if his father could withstand a bullet. This sent David and his wife into a complete panic, because their son had not only found the bullets hidden inside a trophy, but had also already loaded the gun. Meanwhile, Joseph was firmly convinced that even if he fired at his father, he would certainly not be injured. Every boy has once harbored a dream of being a hero, but Joseph could never have imagined that this would actually happen to his own father. Not long ago, the train his father was riding on suffered a mechanical failure and suddenly lost control. The speeding train then derailed and plunged into a valley. When Joseph saw the news, he was completely stunned. The accident claimed the lives of all 131 passengers on board. The carriages rolled over due to inertia. Like a giant mixer, not a single intact body was found at the scene. But David was the sole exception. Not only did he miraculously survive, but he didn't even have a hair out of place. Under the gaze of the bereaved families, walked out of the hospital alive and well, and quickly became a miracle story that news outlets and newspapers vied to cover. Shortly afterward, David attended the funeral for the victims who had been on the same train. But unexpectedly, as he was leaving, he discovered a letter wedged under the windshield, and its contents were even more eerie. The writer asked David how many days in his life he had actually been sick. This question left David somewhat dazed. As far as he could recall, he didn't seem to have ever taken medication or received an injection. David worked as a security guard at a university gym. The workplace had strict rules regarding daily attendance and clocking in. After inquiring with human resources, David finally realized that he had achieved perfect attendance for 5 consecutive years. To verify this, David went to his wife's room that evening, although the couple had been sleeping in separate beds for years due to relationship issues. Upon reflection, ever since they started dating in college, David had indeed never been sick. Not even a common fever or cold had ever touched him. Filled with doubt, David followed the address on the envelope to find the sender. The man's name was Elijah. He was the curator of a comic book museum. He had been obsessed with comic books since childhood, even believing that superheroes truly existed in this world. So he frequently followed reports of catastrophic disasters, trying to find the superpowers he sought among the survivors. He believed David was the person he was looking for, because David likely possessed a body as tough as steel.
I'm assuming you've never been injured. Would I be wrong in that assumption?
Dad's been injured.
But David hadn't always been unscathed. A car accident during his college years forced him to leave the football team he loved so dearly. To him, Elijah's words were utter nonsense. This man seemed more like a con artist who couldn't provide the answers he sought. But Joseph, standing nearby, listened with rapt attention and even believed every word Elijah said, which is why he chose such an extreme method to test his father's body.
No, I am your father, and I'm telling you to put that goddamn gun down right now! 1, 2...
Under David's stern rebuke, the brat finally put down the gun. To avoid affecting his son's upbringing, David had intended to let the matter drop and stop investigating the truth about his own body. But unexpectedly, Elijah wouldn't leave him alone, and eventually even tracked him down at his workplace. And on that very day, David's body once again exhibited abnormalities.